What is up, guys? Welcome to another video, and today we're going to go ahead and talk Need for Speed Heat. So at this point, I probably uploaded the video talking about the under the hood article, the information stuff related to this video. I wanted to set this up into two parts because I was trying to do it all into one, but my head just kept going everywhere because I've got so many thoughts about Need for Speed Heat. This is going to be my initial impressions, what I'm thinking going into Gamescom. I am going to Gamescom thanks to EA. I want to say big shout out to EA for providing all of this information to me earlier. I've been sitting on these videos for a few days now. This isn't something which has been rushed. So I want to say big thank you to all that, the Game Changers thing and all that stuff. Thank you very much. I also just want to say that for clarity's sake, obviously some people probably don't know that I'm affiliated with them in some ways. All they've done is just give me the information earlier. I just want to make that abundantly clear. But in this video, we're going to talk about my opinions, what I think about the whole thing. And all I would say to anyone watching this video is watch it all the way through, hear everything I have to say. I've got a lot of things to say about Need for Speed Heat, some which are probably, you know, surprising, some which are probably not. So we're going to go ahead and get straight into this. Timestamps also in the description, before I forget saying that. Timestamps are in the description for specific topics, etc, etc. So let's go ahead and talk about my initial impressions. I've been sitting on this for a while now. I've pretty much had the trailer for a good few days. I've watched it. I've read through the Under the Hood article numerous times. And I think overall, I'm very, very cautiously optimistic. As a Need for Speed fan, the only thing I could really say to any other Need for Speed fan is please, please tread cautiously. Now, obviously, EA are taking me out to Gamescom, etc, etc, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to speak my mind, because I am worried for this game in a lot of ways. Now, before we go ahead and get into the bad points, I want to cover the good points first, because, you know, there is things I'm worried about, but there's also things I'm very, very excited for, and I feel like those should be, you know, highlighted as much as the bad points. So we're going to go ahead and talk about those first. Number one. Palm City, Miami, the location, fucking sick. Now, everyone knows on this channel that I would love to see a Need for Speed game set in Tokyo, but if anyone here also watches Drivecast, the podcast that I've been doing, they will also know that Miami's also been up there as a location I would love to see Need for Speed in. Miami, San Francisco, and Japan are kind of my top three, really. So the fact, you know, they've gone to Miami is a very, very cool location. Palm City is what they're calling it. It's a fictional Miami, so they can kind of tear up the rulebook a bit with the setting. It doesn't have to be, you know, a one-to-one representation of Miami. Really, really cool. Day and night time, it's separated. It's not a dynamic system anymore. Again, if you haven't seen the information video I've made, I'll link it in the top right on a card. Watch it after this one, because obviously this one's more important at the moment. But anyway, that's really cool. It's split up into day and night time. You know, the daytime is kind of where these legal events are. It's where you're going to be collecting bank. Nighttime is kind of like a dark zone for anyone that plays the Division and knows what that is. Very similar to Need for Speed Rivals. Again, that's something which I could not be any more of an advocate for. For someone like me who is a hardcore player, having an endgame dark zone type area, really, really cool. The atmosphere is exactly what we wanted. Very gritty, very edgy, a bit cheesy. I would say there's a few things here and there that I would change to make it a bit more, you know, gritty and down to earth. For example, as funny as it was in the trailer, when he was just like, just don't need that, really. Like, I just kind of completely takes you out of the experience of what that should be. But that's just me nitpicking. That's me being a bit of a, you know, a nuisance. I also think the trailer was a bit stop and start. It was kind of like, as soon as it got going, it stopped going, and then the voiceover came in for no reason.
They impose limits to control us, limits to make us blend in.
I think that's just my film degree as speaking and being a bit picky, but you know, the trailer did feel really stop and start. Obviously, the performance speed cards are gone. I'm looking very forward to seeing what they have planned for the performance upgrades. Hopefully it's something very similar to 2015, maybe even engine swaps and that kind of stuff would be really cool to see. Furthermore, I think overall it just feels like a proper Need for Speed atmosphere. That's the one thing to take out of this opinion portion of this video. I just feel like the whole atmosphere of the game is a complete 180 to what it was in Payback. Also, the name Need for Speed Heat is a really good name, Need for Speed Heat. I've noticed that they're now using NFS instead of Need for Speed. Also, no little thing doesn't really matter too much, but it's just something I thought I'd mention. But, and it's a big but, there are things that I'm very, very kind of cautious towards. Number one, they are supposedly a new handling model. Take that with a pinch of salt. We saw a little bit of gameplay from the trailer, and it didn't look particularly different. And when I mean a little, I mean like a really, really little. It was kind of just from the chase cam and stuff. Take it with a pinch of salt. They've said things like this before. I'm pretty sure with Payback they said that the handling model was different. I don't know whether that's a few tweaks to the last one. I don't know whether it's completely rehauled. But all I'm going to say is tread cautiously. The only reason my hype isn't just fucking through the roof is because for the last few games I thought the handling model was going to change. You know, when the whole grip and drift thing came in 2015, I thought that the grip side of things was going to be proper old school Need for Speed handling. A lot of people would say Need for Speed Most Wanted and Carbon etc wouldn't, you know, like stand up nowadays, but I think from a pure physics perspective they would. You know, with Payback we all thought it was going to be different. I said very early on that it's still very much brake to drift when I was going to vents and whatnot, but I just want to make it abundantly clear, like, just tread cautiously, because things like this have been said from Ghost Games before and we've come to release and it's not been what we wanted. And I can understand why people might dislike this video at this point because it's not really what you want to hear, and that's completely understandable. Like, I get it, but I think it's something that you need to know now, because when it comes to launch and everyone's upset and disappointed, you know, I don't want to say I told you so again, like I did with Payback's multiplayer and like I did with 2015 etc etc. I kind of just want to lay it all out now in terms of what I'm thinking. They are hitting so many good points they're hitting, but they just need to make sure that the fundamentals of the game are good. The aesthetic of the game can be as good, you know, and as pleasing to me, you know, as it can be. But in the end of the day, if the cars don't handle like cars and they handle like boats, well, you're not made a good racing game, because that is the fundamental, that is at the center of what makes a good racing game. It's the physics and the way the cars handle. Now, for me, I don't actually personally mind brake to drift, to be honest. It's one of those things. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2010 is one of my favorite recent Need for Speed games. It's not actually been that recent nowadays, 9 years ago now, which says a lot, really. But the brake to drift in that game isn't a problem for me. I've been a big advocate for Burnout Paradise, etc. So I don't really mind brake to drift. Brake to drift isn't really a problem for me. What is a problem for me is when it's not used correctly, when it doesn't feel fluent, and that's one of those things where I guess we're only going to find out, you know, in the coming weeks at Gamescom. I mentioned this in my other video, but I'm going to be sitting down with the devs next Wednesday, I believe. So if you do have any questions, what you want to ask them, you know, let me know in the comment section down below, because I will be talking to them next week in a live stream on the channel. So please do subscribe and stay tuned. Cautiously optimistic, I think, is the way I describe this. I can imagine a lot of the YouTubers are probably gassed off their tits and like, I'm not the same, if you want me to be honest. I'm really not. I'm actually really looking forward to Grid as well. I think with Need for Speed, it has got to the point now, you know, what has it been now since Rivals? Rivals came out 2013, I believe. I might be wrong on that one. 6 years ago now, Ghost Games were formed, and they've still not quite hit the nail on the head. I'm I'm waiting and I'm preserving judgment until, you know, I can go out there and say that this is going to be good for certain. I'm not gonna, you know, gas this game up to the point where I'm overhyping it, because that's just not how I you know, sell myself on this channel. That's never been a motive for me. That's never really how I've conducted myself, and I'm still very unsure if this is going to be, from a gameplay perspective, exactly what we want. But aesthetically and from, you know, an atmosphere perspective, it definitely seems to be hitting all the nails on the head. Now, we won't know if the gameplay is any good till I get my hands on it next week at Gamescom, so all I'm going to say is stay tuned. I'm going to have my gameplay thoughts as well as a hell of a lot of gameplay from Gamescom on the channel, so please do subscribe. Like I said, I'm also going to be sitting down with the devs, so I'm going to write up some questions. I'm going to go ahead and ask different people in the community some questions. You guys are more than welcome to leave comments, and I'm going to pick the best ones in that community live stream next Wednesday. But that's really all I have to say. It's a mixed bag of emotions. Like, I'm happy, excited, but I just don't want to get let down again. I really didn't play that much Payback, which is a shame, because I'm pretty sure I put like almost 40-50 days in 2015. And, you know, even though 2015 had fundamental problems, I played the shit out of that game. I love the direction that game went in. I love the customization. That's all the kind of stuff that I love from Need for Speed. I am a very big Need for Speed fan, even though I might seem a little bit disheartened in some ways. I love Need for Speed and I love racing games, and they're always going to be mainly what I play. But I feel like, as a guy in the community that has somewhat of a voice, I should also raise my concerns, because they're just as important as all the good things that have come with this reveal. So that's all I'm going to say here and now. I might make a few more videos leading up to Gamescom and whatnot, but that's really all I have to say with Need for Speed Heat. Again, if you haven't seen my information video, there'll be a card up here as well as some polls and stuff. I'm really curious to know what people are going to be playing day or night time, so you've probably seen that come up here in some regard. If you've made it all the way to the end of the video, I want to say a big thank you. You are part of the like 20% of people that make it to the end of these videos, so I want to say thank you for sticking along. You are what keep the channel going, so again, big love from me. And that's been it for today's kind of opinionated video. Let's see what happens at Gamescom next week. I'm gonna be there. I'm very excited. Need for Speed, please don't let me down again. I've got so much hope that you're hopefully gonna do this right this time, guys. Hopefully. With a change of creative lead, you know, speed cards are gone, which is good. Hopefully this time Need for Speed can prove us wrong, and they can prove me wrong, and I don't have to have this kind of outlook on things, and I can be positive and more positive. But only time will tell. So that's been it for me today. If you guys enjoyed, hit the like, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. You guys have been awesome. Stay safe and peace.